Welcome back to the Namra podcast. This week it's myself, Justin, and a very special guest, Mike McDonough from Focus Forward Media. He's the creative director over there and going to be talking a lot about video, so not going to want to miss it. All right. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's going on?
Not too much, man. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Glad for you to be here and doing a little home and away. It's the first time you've been on our podcast.
Yep.
I've been on yours a few times, so thanks for coming in.
I know. I see this lighting setup. I was like, I got to get on this podcast.
Yeah, it looks cool in the background. It's going to make a sweet profile picture.
Right.
Yeah. So how's everything going, man?
Good. Good. Been busy.
Yeah. First, I want to just to introduce yourself and the company to the audience. Can you tell us a little bit about Focus Forward, the different things that you guys offer and what you do?
Yeah, for sure. So we've been around for 4 years. We range all over from social media marketing to full-on advertising, from television to internet, anything people need. We got you covered. That's graphics, photos, videos, any wide gamut of a lot of stuff. And then we also have another company that does weddings, so photo and video for weddings and stuff like that. Nealon Media, shout out. Shout out business partner Mike. Shout him out. He does a lot of work.
Where you at, man? Where you at?
I think he's in Maine right now, but
how did it turn out that was he the original proprietor of the wedding thing? Like, why not McDonough? No love for your last name?
Nah. He does a lot of the wedding work. He handles all of the correspondence right now. He talks with the brides. He kind of runs the wedding side, and then I kind of run the corporate side.
Yeah.
So he had the wedding company way before we started the company, but when we were in Providence, this was probably 2 or 3 years ago, he was working on the weddings a lot during work.
Yeah.
And we were like, why don't we just wrap it all into one, and we both can spend time on it, and we both can work on it, split it all right down the middle, and just put it under the Focus Forward umbrella.
Okay. Is that how you guys started? Like, you were just like, let's merge forces here?
So we started Focus Forward. We worked at the same agency together.
Yeah.
And decided to leave that agency and start our own thing. Thought we could do it better, and it worked out. And then about a year in after that, we merged Nealon Media together. Good
decision overall from going from the corporate world?
I think so. I think that it supplies another source of revenue, avenue for revenue to come in and supplement us whenever we're having a slow corporate month or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. There's huge seasonality in like wedding stuff, right?
Yeah, nobody's going to stop getting married either.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
It's good and also for forecasting, you have X amount of weddings next year, that X amount of revenue is coming in. So you can prepare, you can hire, you can see how many contractors we need. It's a lot more predictable, I guess, than the corporate stuff.
Corporate stuff comes and goes. It comes in quick, leaves quick.
Yep, big waves.
Yeah, and you guys do a lot of, where we collaborate a lot of times is you do larger video production stuff, right? That's kind of what your bread and butter is for the most part. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess the difference I see a lot between us is we do the production side where it is like kind of the higher like budget productions, but you guys do a great job where it's the marketing and how to implement that video, where people come to us with like, hey, we have this idea for a video, or we want to, how do you put it? Like, we want to get this message across about our company. Yep. And we're like, all right, we plan out the whole shoot, how we're going to do it, and then deliver the content to them, and we'll help them advertise it. Yeah. But you guys are way better at that than we are. Like picking out different,
like marketing goals and shit like that. Like we start with the marketing first, and then we've kind of fallen into the video production, and like we've ramped our game, but we started on like iPhones. Like it was marketing, social media, digital marketing first, and then people like Justin bailed us out, helping us out, bringing up the video production side of things, where I feel like you guys on the marketing side are coming along a long way and starting to do different stuff. And it's like starts with the creative side. Oh, no, it's all good, man.
Yeah, put this thing on its airplane mode.
Oh, you got it.
But yeah, no, I agree 100%. And to your point, we all have to evolve. Yeah. It's how you make more money. It's how you keep the business going. Like you started with cell phones. Now, look, you got 3 cameras right in front of you.
Yeah,
this whole setup. Yeah. So like, I think the only way to keep momentum going is to find more and more avenues and to grow more and more.
Yeah, you want to be like consistent, but you don't want to be too locked into one specific identity or thing.
Yeah, and actually that's kind of, not to throw you off topic if you're going somewhere, but people always say focus on one thing, focus on one industry, one market.
Yeah.
And you know, every time someone tells us that, it's like, I don't want to do that. I like the variety, and I like filming different things. Like we have a construction client, but then, you know, we have Providence Bagel on this side. So it's like two complete opposites, but it keeps the variety, it keeps it interesting, it keeps it going. And that's what I enjoy about the corporate stuff.
Yeah. I do too. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, every day is something different. So
a lot of people, like there's like really the very popular theory now on businesses have a niche. There's a ton of marketing companies that say, okay, we're going to be a restaurant marketing company, you know, and we never wanted to do that. We never wanted to be a real estate marketing company or anything because, like you just said, one, it gets boring, obviously, and two, what happens when COVID hits and all the restaurants shut down? I saw a lot of businesses kind of they were in tough spots, you know, and we always try to make sure that we can handle everything, you know. So I like that. I totally agree. There's value in being a niche provider, but also I think there's a ton of value in not being that too.
Yeah.
Companies a lot of times want to have like an outside perspective of things.
Yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, like the people who are focused in, they do a great job. They have it down to a science. It's just not for me.
No.
It's just not my style.
I would get so bored. Yeah. I like having a million different, you see it, like you're working with a different industry like every day of the week. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Monday could be real estate. Tuesday could be like a restaurant, and then, you know, anything in between.
How's that? How do you like that compared to like when you were just doing mostly like wedding video?
Yeah. No, I love it. I absolutely love it. Before I was just doing weddings and like legal depositions. So I was in like, conference rooms and doing Zoom.
That's the most boring.
They came around. It absolutely sucked. And then,
have you ever done deposition?
That's literally just setting a camera up on a tripod and filming it.
There's literally no skill required at all, but it paid the bills and it was great.
That's all that matters.
And it was what I needed at the time. So, but and then eventually, like you said, you evolve and you learn like what avenues you want to go. And yeah, man, like I don't even have any idea of where I could niche right now as far as like, I mean, obviously video, but like deeper than that, like one industry, because like, I don't know, like what if I find something I love someday and then I'm like, I'd never find that because I'm niching down, you know, scale out.
Yeah.
Then
I think it's just, it all case by case. Some people love it. Some people don't necessarily need it.
You know,
and I love getting a project in it's like, all right. You know, for example, one of our clients, actually, I don't know if I can say what the client does, but we have a client that has proprietary software, and it's like, all right, here's your challenge. You have to make this look sexy. And it's a bunch of code and people behind computers. And it's like, all right, like, well, let's figure this out. How are we going to tell this story of this company without just showing like, here's the product, here's the code. It's like, no, you got to look at it in different ways and go about it different ways. So you get the creative juices flowing.
Well, that's like that really reminds me of something we were talking about before. And I'm interested in hearing your take on how you take an abstract idea and turn that into a visual finalized product. Because typically when someone comes to us, they have a general ballpark idea and it's like, hey, how do we make this come to life? And we've talked about like storytelling in past episodes and how that's important, but like, what's your take on that? When someone comes to you, like, what's that process usually look like? How do you do that?
Well, I think obviously a couple meetings with the client, of course.
Absolutely.
You got to get a feel for the vibe of the company too. You know, is it a young company? Is it an old company? Like
part of the brand.
Yeah, because they're going to say, an older generation is going to say no to a lot more things than a younger generation is going to say. And then you kind of got to figure out, all right, how creative can this client actually be? And what's the envelope that we can push? We've sent scripts in, and you guys worked on us with projects where we've sent scripts in, and they just come back with like the most boring script after that. And it's just like,
oh, damn. Suck all the life right out of it.
Yeah, but you know, that's the job. Then you go and you do that to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
But as far as like what do you mean? Like as far as like taking a...
So like take that idea and then how do you convert that into a finalized piece? Because it sounds like what you're saying is first like set out guidelines. Like what exactly are we going for here? Right. Like what are you guys going to be happy with? What are you trying to do? Right. That's kind of like the first
marketing
step.
Message of the whole thing.
And then what's your process for kind of bringing that to life? I know you have meetings with clients and you talk to them, but how do you go from initial concept to finalized idea? Is it usually already done for you, or do you have
No. We'll like sit down after the first couple meetings, kind of get an idea of what the client's looking for, and then us and the team will just sit down and just storyboard, brainstorm. It's so cliche, but no bad ideas in a brainstorm. Yeah. Throw everything out there. The most wild idea we could like tweak a little bit and be like, wow, like that actually works.
Yeah, if we tone that down.
Yeah,
a little
usually
bit.
Usually it is toning it down too, but I think it's how you approach it.
Yeah.
And just being open minded.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a good example. I'll think of something as we go.
No, I get, even when we were working on that project together with the client you mentioned earlier, they were like a software type company, and we basically wanted to take it and make it funnier, like have a little bit more, because it's a very it was like maybe kind of a muted brand at the start, and we tried to propose some ideas, and there's always like that give and take back and forth where it's like the creative arguing with like the not arguing but back and forth. You have to make concessions both ways.
Yeah, we want to make it colorful or whatever. We want to keep it black and white.
Yeah,
for as an example.
Exactly.
Like metaphor, but
Yep. That's a really good way to put it. Mm-hmm. So how's everything going with business? Any big challenges, any big wins lately that you want to talk about, or anything? What's new?
Like we were talking before we came on, I think the recession kind of scared people a little bit.
Yeah.
Things seem to be coming back from that. The wedding, like I said, the wedding season is going crazy. Anything big and crazy?
Well, you guys got the new office, right?
We did get, back in February, we moved back to Providence.
Place is nice.
Thank you. Yeah, really nice. It's been good for the employees for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's a little more lively to be able to walk out and have all the restaurants right there.
Yeah.
I think they get takeout from Cobb almost every single day.
That's a good spot.
Yeah. And then as far as like productivity, like I think it brought everybody together. It's all glass, so like you know, there's not really those walls blocking off before. No one has like a closed off office. It's all kind of everyone collaborative together.
I love it. It's not open concept, but it is very, very open. You know what I mean?
Is that something you kind of thought of in foresight before you purchased it, or did it just kind of work out that way?
Yeah, so when we walked in, I'll have to show you photos before, when we first got in there, there was probably 4 or 5 foot high dividers or cubicles. There was 3 of them, and we had them tear them all out. My office that you saw, I had them build that. They took a bunch of stuff out to build the kitchen. So we had them remodel like the whole entire place.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. So we kind of made it how Mike and I wanted our office to be, because we're going to be there for a little bit, Yeah.
So what kind of goes into that, if you don't mind touching on it? Like you said, the fact that you have everything glass plays into the collaboration, and that's huge, right? I saw you guys have you write notes on the white on the glass, right, and stuff like that. So is there any other things that you thought of ahead to make it the perfect fantasy factory type for you guys?
I think the big thing was just a podcast studio, a photography studio was our main requisites, and then me and Mike just wanted private offices. Mm-hmm. But the offices are all glass, so people just knock on the glass when they want you, and we literally talk through the glass. It's not really that private, but I like that.
Do you ever get those blackout shades? So
we looked at them. You know how freaking expensive those things are.
Unreal, bro. I was on IKEA for my own apartment, and it was $300 for 2, just for me. And I was like, damn, son.
I could get some of these ones though. I would take.
Yeah, these came with the place. I said, leave those.
Please.
Yeah.
But if anyone wants to take out Nealon Media, go into our office and wipe off the whiteboard with all the due dates of all the videos and photos, and we'll be lost.
Yeah, crash the company. Corporate espionage.
Yeah, I must say, shout out our Lex, who's our post production manager. She has every wedding video and photo we need to do, who's going to do it, everyone initial next to it. She's so organized that she keeps that.
Just make sure she takes a picture of it once a week.
Yeah. She got it on the computer too, but just so everyone can visually see it too. It's
I like that.
That's good. Yeah,
it's got to be great to keep organization and coordination. Everybody knows what they're doing when they're doing it.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to scale from kind of starting out and doing the art, and then moving up and having employees and having systems like that?
So we hired our first 2 employees, which Trent and Lex were our first 2 full-timers that we hired. That was, I want to say last year, maybe
Yeah, he's been around for a little while now.
Maybe, was it longer than last year? Maybe it's been a year.
It's been at least 1 year.
A year and a half. Yeah, because he was at the holiday party, and Lex was hired around the same time. And then we have 3 part-timers, and then we actually just interviewed 2 more people. I think we're going to bring them on too.
Oh, shit. Nice.
That's awesome, man.
But I think it got to the point where Mike and I were just putting in absurd hours.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have the contracts coming in, but is that work-life balance, which, you know, as all of us know,
building some time, man.
Yeah, when you're building a business, you got to put that time in. Like,
oh yeah,
our first office was a 110 square foot office in Providence. The parking was almost cost more than than the actual office itself. And it was just Mike and I in a room, our gear just covered up on top of us, and we were just hustling. And then it got to a point where we moved to Pawtucket, and we had the room for people. We're like, why not bring in someone? And the biggest thing I did was, I don't know if you want to go from the business owner perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
But basically, all right, you got this contract with this company. If we hire someone at, say, $15-20 an hour to come in and do this, and they're working 3 days a week, and say that, all right, they're going to come in 3 days, 1 week's going to be worth this much. How much are we going to have to dedicate from this contract to pay that person? Yep. And then you can see through the bank account, all right, are we going to be sustainable if we keep bringing more and more people on? And that's kind of how we've approached it all.
Yeah. Does the money coming in
supplement
the money going out?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then is the business making money at the end of the day?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's the best,
and are you happy with how much you're working? You know,
yep.
It's like,
exactly.
You got to figure that stuff out up front. So that's good. We did it the exact opposite way. It took us almost 5 years to get a studio. It was like 4 years, and then we got a studio because we've always been remote.
Yeah, you guys were working from home for a while, but it seemed like it worked fine.
It worked
like,
great. We were all in different locations. We didn't do a ton of in-studio video production, and we were all like, we were born in working from home. Like we always did it, so we were used to it, and it was never a problem, you know. And when we finally decided to, you know, bring on someone like Justin, start going back into the business and really investing in it that way. And it's now we're kind of getting on that track. It makes a big difference, but it is scary as fuck, like making that leap, you know what I mean? Like very scary.
Well, that's the thing. You start acquiring your expenses, and, you know, I look at it now, and it's like the cost to run our company a month. It's like, all right, we got to hit this dollar amount before you even make any profit for the company itself, you know, including payroll and all that stuff. Like, you got to hit X.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, I think it just comes with time, and to tell you the truth, just go for it.
Yeah.
Just go for it. And, you know, if you are passionate about it, it's going to work out. So
for sure,
just work your ass off and do the best you can.
And then so after that, you know, you got into the new studio, you got out of the 100 square foot cubicle you were in. And so you guys started, you were doing like social media stuff and lower budget, right?
Yeah.
And then, so tell me about that. And then how did you get to the bigger budget stuff that you guys are working with now?
That's a good question. Yeah. So we moved to Pawtucket, and then that was still, we had, you know, decent sized contracts, but smaller contracts. Honestly, to make the hump, it was just, we were just hustling, you know, we were doing a lot of work. Mike and I were trying to push out as much social content as possible.
Is that how you're sorry to cut you off, but that's like a great segue into what are you guys doing to bring in new business on the marketing side? Because you guys have been crushing it on social media. You guys put out a ton of really good video content. Is that where you're getting the majority of your work now?
No, but we get a lot of follows and a lot of people being like, hey, I saw this on social media. Can you make it look like this for me?
Yep.
So like Trent does a great job making these reels, and Siobhan, who we brought on, who's a great social media marketer, she kills it with TikTok and the trends. And so we are getting views on that. But, and I think this goes for a lot of the people in our business, is you're only as good as your last job.
Yep.
So people want to see your examples of work, what you did. And once they see that, that's what's going to convert. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our work is either word of mouth. So, you know, always treat your client right. Always treat it correct. And surprisingly, lately, a lot of our leads have been Google ads.
Yeah. You do running paid ads?
Yeah.
How's that going? What are you guys doing for I know you used to run Facebook ads for the wedding stuff a lot.
Yeah, so Facebook kind of fell off once they changed everything up.
Yeah.
We don't even touch it anymore.
Oh man, Facebook was like awesome for weddings.
We were getting
groups and ads, but now it's just like a wasteland.
Well, now they just they revamped all these platforms, so you can't just like go in and try to figure out ads on your own. It's very, very confusing.
Yeah, so we don't even touch Facebook. It's funny, we got something in the mail from Google, like spend 500, get 500, something like that. And we're like, fuck it. Like, oh, can I swear on here?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, you can.
We were like, all right, we'll just try this. And so, we put a $500 campaign up, and within the past month, we've gotten so many leads.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. But we've gotten like a good amount of leads from people just being like, oh, I Googled video production in Providence and you guys came up.
Yeah.
So I think Google's going to be the new avenue to go and grab some more work.
We've been doing a ton of like organic stuff on Google Business Profile, and we manage that for all of our clients, almost all of them, and then we do it for ourselves as well. And that's been really, really solid for us lately. It's starting to really pick up. I think this time of the year is when people are really starting to seek out people for marketing, videography with like Q4, Q1 coming.
They got to spend the money on Q4, so
exactly.
I'm here to take it.
Exactly.
But I mean, the social media stuff that you mentioned, like we don't really see it translating to dollar signs per se, like the stuff we put out. But I think it's important to have that culture and to build that culture to show people, hey, it's fun to work here. We have a good time, but we also make cool videos.
Yeah.
I think people, if they are researching companies and they see an Instagram full of people having fun and making cool products, or if they just see an Instagram or no Instagram at all, they're going to go with the company that is up to date and like showing behind the scenes. Like we made a TikTok today of just assembling our camera.
Yeah.
But it's like we lit it nice. We made it really like kind of, just visually pleasing and cinematic.
Yeah.
And like something little like that could go flying and you have no idea.
Yeah. Give people binoculars in on what you guys are doing rather than exactly.
And I always tell my clients that a big unspoken part of the value of social media is serving as like a portfolio of your work. So it's not just marketing to bring in leads, but it's helps you convert them on the sales side of things. So when you do have a prospect who's like weighing alternatives, that's the buzzword for it. They're looking at your Instagram versus whatever X, Y, and Z media company over here. You guys look better on Instagram. They're like, that gets them jazzed up. They're like, let's go with these guys. I like what they're doing better than what's going on over here on this boring social media page. It's a big piece of it.
And like the thing you were saying too, is that when you give people an inside look on like, I mean, obviously you guys do production, but you're making a video about setting up a camera and giving people an insight on like what the culture is like there and what you guys do like every day. So that's like a completely different side of what you guys do that people surprisingly like love. They want to look at. They attach to that. So
we used to do a series Fridays at Focus Forward, and every Fridays we would release what we did that entire week.
Like a vlog.
It was a
awesome.
vlog.
Yeah, check it out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's on our YouTube. But we stopped doing that because we actually realized that instead of doing 1 week and putting one on a Friday, you do one thing per day about what you did that day and make it a 15 to 30 second reel.
Content,
And we got way more viral traction doing that than our Fridays that were getting 100 to 200 views, and then meanwhile these are getting tens of thousands because they're so short. You put a trendy song behind them, and we found we've switched it up lately, but the Fridays are fun to put together.
Yeah, and that's like a good content like portfolio piece. But it totally makes sense because I gave a presentation on Instagram Reels today on like how to make it, and one of the pieces of advice I gave people was do one thing well. It doesn't have to be this crazy novel about 7 different things. It's like pick one thing. The caption should be about one topic. The video should be about one topic, and like hit that well, and it'll go viral. And it'll do well. And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys have been doing.
Yeah. Where it's like instead of Fridays where it's 3 minutes long, and you're telling 8 different stories in it. This is telling one story, and we cut it down to 15 seconds.
And it's like if you look at it from a workflow perspective, it's probably way not easier, but it makes more sense. It's like okay, I spend 5 minutes chopping this up and creating a 20-second reel. 3 times a week versus like spending an hour making this long one perfect and I get a quarter of the views maybe.
Yeah, and I used to, going back to work-life balance too, I used to go home from work on a Friday, and then I would get on my laptop and create the Fridays for that whole week.
Yeah.
And then, you know, be done by like 9, 10 o'clock.
Not
and then there goes your Friday.
Yeah.
Which, like, hey, like I said, you got to do it when you first start off, but like you're at a point, or we're at a point now where it's like, all right, we got to, I don't want to be doing that.
Yeah,
So,
delegate the time. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Buy
So
back
now-
the time, like you said, T.
yeah, so if you watch any of the reels now, Trent edits them all. He does a killer job.
Yeah.
He shoots a lot of them, or we'll take behind the scenes of what we did that day.
What's the majority of the content about? Like, what are your topics you typically cover? Like, I've seen some on the design side of things and like how to use Photoshop, but like, what are you guys typically doing?
So that's,
What works best?
yeah, that's Siobhan does a lot of the tutorials, which take off like the simple ones people like that are Googling that it's going to pop right up. Like,
Yeah. How to make a color palette or whatever.
Yeah. That was one of her
Yeah.
things because it's so simple, but
Yep.
people don't realize it or like don't know how to do it. And they don't realize it's so simple.
Dude, one of the most popular videos I've ever made to this day was like a 1-minute explainer video on Facebook, how to block someone from Facebook. Dude, how it didn't lead to business, but I still get people commenting on that post like, hey, it didn't work for me. Like 2 years later,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like this little old lady.
Well, they changed it around.
yeah,
so-
4 times. But yeah, like that, like you said, like small things like that, people really
Yeah.
connect with.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then other than that, it's usually like if we go on a shoot, we'll have someone come alongside and shoot behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
make a quick edit about our day.
Yeah.
So again, going behind the scenes and showing what goes into actual production, because not a lot of people just think you go grab a camera and pick it up and just point it somewhere and
They
you got
have no
something
idea.
cool.
I think in our space, there's a lot of people who just think, okay, you're just setting up a Facebook ad. Like that's that's what you're charging me to set up or to set a camera on a tripod and hit record. It's like, no. You need to see all the stuff that goes into these different things. And I think that's really valuable to show. You know.
Yeah, I had a guy hire me once. This was going way back. I was shooting like a car show or something, like just, you know, super cheap. This might have been like while I was still in college.
Yeah.
But I charged the guy for the day and was going to put together a little edit. And he told all the sponsors that I would go to each one of their businesses and shoot a little video for them in their business. So while I was sitting there, one of the sponsors came up to me and they're like, oh, so when are you coming over? I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, oh, like to shoot the commercial. I was like, what commercial? And he was like, oh, so-and-so said that you're shooting commercials for all the sponsors. I was like, what? I was like, no, I'm not doing that. He goes, oh. And he walked away. And then the dude who hired me came over and he's like, what, you can't go shoot commercials for them? And I was like, you didn't tell me anything about that.
How many sponsors were there?
Probably like 10. And no, the best part is
mob.
the guy goes, he goes, what, you just go grab your camera, just go point it around and you got your video. And that's why I always say like, just grab your camera. Cause I get it from that guy. He like, ever since that day, I'm just like, that's what people on the outside look at when they look on the inside.
And that goes back to setting clear expectations, boundaries. Yeah, that is brutal. We've had a few of those before too.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. Cool. So any other questions, Justin, that you want to talk about? I wanted to jump into some like marketing topics, and I know you came with a few things that we can get into for segments.
No, please take it away.
No. What did you bring to the table? You came prepared. I appreciate it.
Oh man. Yeah. I was told to, well, actually first off,
Did you burn some of your material?
no, not yet.
All right.
I
Cool.
got all material.
Good stuff.
First off, Trent wanted to call you out on the golf match. That was my first note.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh,
we never played with Russ.
Oh yeah, the gauntlet's been laid, and we haven't
Yeah.
done. Well, now that it's fall season, we can do it.
Yeah, but it's too late. We're teammates now, so.
Oh yeah, I know. That's true.
It'll wait till after
After
Tuesday.
that,
After
that.
Tuesday. No, I mean, I was just, I was talking about on the topic of marketing topics, and we already kind of touched about the metaphors and all that stuff. Just kind of, how viral marketing works.
Yeah.
And I think it's good for you guys because you guys know how to like get in the flow and get going and stuff like
Trendstack.
that. Yeah. And like just like the process of taking something abstract and turning into a metaphor where at the end people are like, oh, that was that the whole time,
Yeah.
or even
How do you guys do that? Can you speak to that a little bit?
so basically the way that we would approach it is kind of taking going back to the beginning a little bit,
Yeah, that's all right.
about like the marketing ideas and the marketing message and like, all right, laying out X, like this character or this business is going to be represented by this.
Yeah.
And then like, how does this react in a certain situation, you know, and creating something around that. Like I know I'm being very vague.
No,
but
well, it is. It's a vague thing. I got you. Yeah.
But kind of like how you guys took an insurance company and turned to a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air thing.
Yeah.
Like doing things like that where nobody would ever think of approaching insurance that way.
Yeah.
Or I see you guys do the Ghostbuster stuff, like all the different things you guys are shooting. I saw something, there was on the Instagram the other day, there was something you guys were shooting.
Oh, we're doing it.
Stranger Things.
Was it Stranger?
I'm almost done with that, man. I can't wait for that one to come out.
I saw one of the guys, I think he was in like a muscle shirt. I was like, what the hell are they doing now? But yeah, I think there's so many different ways that you can represent a company or represent a service, where it doesn't come together until the end. And then at the end, you have like one final solid message.
Aha moment.
Yeah, exactly. The aha moment.
You're trying to take the tangible thing. So whether it's like whatever, if it's a gym, okay, you want to have the message might be like, come here to become your best self. You have like that abstract idea that you're trying to turn into a tangible visual. So that can be that doesn't have to be represented by like a paragraph of words and us talking about how good we are and how you're going to be better.
Right.
You can show it by whatever, someone running up a flight of stairs, or what the Rocky guy running up the flight of stairs, like overcoming and reaching his final mission. Like is that kind of what you're talking about when it comes from the abstraction and turning it into something?
And even if you want to get more abstract, say, for example, let me see, like an industry or something. I'm looking at your
car sales.
Your ad. Yeah, cars. All right. So you want to talk about how, you want to work with this certain car industry, this car dealership. Mm-hmm. This is they're the most reliable ones in town. But the guy standing there on a green screen going, we're the most reliable in town. You're not going to believe him, you know?
Yeah.
So, maybe you take the car dealership as a literal thing, the actual building. And, like, how do you show that as like being the strongest building around, or get a marketing message across that way, where it's like, all right, this building is like the center of all these cars. This is like the heartbeat of this whole operation.
Yeah.
So you make like, instead of showing the people, you're showing the building, the showroom, you're showing all this stuff.
It reminds me of those like Ford commercials, or I don't even remember the company, but it's like where like you have like this like 250 like backing up, and then like they dump a ton of rocks into it. You see it like bouncing up and down in slow mo. It's like it shows reliability
instead of being like
or like guys with hard hats on getting out of the truck. It's like this is a tough truck.
Instead of saying like, oh, our F-250 holds the most weight of all trucks. Let's fucking let's put 50 pounds of dirt in the bag and drop. Yeah.
Sell the sizzle. What is it? Sell the steak, not the sizzle, or vice versa, or something like that. That's an old marketing term, and it's like, show me, don't tell me. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes back to the storytelling. So that's a good point.
It changes obviously on industry, and it's hard to come up with it on the spot.
Absolutely.
But it's kind of like. Yeah, kind of along those lines.
Yeah, if you can pick like a North Star goal and then match that with an idea or an abstract concept, and then you kind of infuse the two to get to that goal, like that's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I'm glad, I hope I'm not just like speaking gibberish, because I feel like I'm just throwing it out there.
I think so.
Yeah, got you.
But it's cool because that's the stuff that people are going to remember.
Yeah.
It's like I wrote down for an example right here, like the Terry Tate linebacker, the Office linebacker. Do you remember him from ESPN?
Terrible Terry Tate.
Not me.
Oh, how old are you?
Great.
23.
It might be before your time.
Probably,
then.
Yeah.
Dude,
but so like,
I'm not a big football guy either, but.
Well, I think so. It was basically like ESPN. It was ESPN.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how like it wasn't part of the This Is ESPN campaign,
no.
which that one is an awesome one.
Did you see some of those that we did? We did those for La Pointe too.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, we did. This is La Pointe Insurance. Yeah. Really interesting. Like people ask me all the time, like when I try to go down like a rabbit hole about like, okay, what is the brand? What is the look? What's the feel? It's hard to explain exactly what that means. But what I had here is just a few sounds from commercials that like I don't even think people realize that they recognize, but like these are the subtle brand elements that should go into like your brand. And every time you make video content or you do make social media content, these are like the subtle things. So like this one right here for you listening at home. Like that's the Netflix. Everyone knows that. And then another one that's like got like pretty viral and popular lately is this one.
Oh yeah. That's because of TikTok too.
Yeah, TikTok
the Home Depot.
Yeah. And that's like, again, it's a sound that has nothing to do with Home Depot, has nothing to do with working hard, but because they've properly used that sound in their branding, it does. It's like a piece of their brand guidelines now. It's a piece of their branding. So I think it's the same thing. And then the last one I have that is probably like the least, this one's a little bit older, but if you guys remember like those old built Ford Tough.
You just gave it away.
Yeah.
You cheated at your own game. Bro.
Yeah. It wasn't a game, but probably should have been. That would have been probably a better way to do it. But that's all right. Yeah. So like.
Wait, play it again? I would not guess
I don't
that.
think. Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't think I would have got
if
that.
If you see it though, you'll get it. You don't remember?
Oh,
that?
It's the
Ford logo like slamming into the concrete or whatever.
Splash. Yeah.
But there are like a million of those different things. So I just wanted to bring that up. But that was pretty much it for me.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything you had? Any cool stuff?
No, let's dig on that a little though. How would a company like develop, and from your perspective too, Mike, how would you develop that like branding like? What am I even trying to say?
How do you come up
like,
with something like that for your
like an icon type thing?
Yeah, like who picked that Netflix sound? Is
Right.
that kind of what you're saying? Like,
right. Yeah. Like
how
what,
did you?
Yeah. Like from your perspective, like what would give a company a good sound, if that makes sense? Like.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question for you. How do they figure that out? Yeah, you're the expert.
Yeah, right? I mean, I think a lot of study groups probably for Netflix, they probably ran through, probably had a bunch of sounds.
Yeah, I bet the guy didn't do anything
So
until like the day it was due. He's like, this is it. I got it. Yeah.
I'm just going to wait.
Yeah.
So you think that they just had like focus groups and they would sit in and be like, okay, how does this make you feel? Like go check like checklists or?
I honestly think a corporation like that probably did.
Yeah,
I think, how does that make you feel?
Right.
What do you feel when you hear this sound? And there's probably some messed up science behind that noise that like clicks in our brain where it's like
certain frequency. Or something.
What's the bell thing? The Pavlov's.
Yeah.
Whatever the heck that thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you
like
hear
the
bell.
reward system or whatever.
Yeah. So you hear that, you're like, oh, Netflix is on. You know?
I had like a market research class in college, and I know a little bit about it, like not much. It's very, kind of dated now, but if you ever did a focus group, like you have like really weird measurements you're taking. So it's like, does this annoy you at all? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how annoyed does this make you? And I feel like if you're watching Netflix, you want something that's like 0. Like it can't be annoying at all. You don't want it to be super memorable. Like with a commercial, sometimes you need something that like grabs attention. But I feel like for Netflix, like maybe they took a poll of people just to see like what like kind of mellows you out and relaxes you. Like what do you want them to feel? We want that sound to be commensurate with that.
It's like the little things that people don't think of. Like I would love to know how they came up with that sound. How did they pick that sound out of the millions and billions of sounds in the world?
I think like for small companies, if like we have a consistent song that plays or like sound that plays that you found actually at the beginning of every single podcast. Yeah. For small companies, I think you should just know like what's your brand identity, like generally what is it, and then just like play with stuff until it's like that works. I like that one. Right. You know, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do something like that.
Yeah, back to like what you said, it's like a science or a psychology. You have to like put it out there, see how it works, test the waters, and then analyze why it worked or why it didn't work.
Yeah. And if you stick with it, people are going to hear it and they're going to get that Netflix reaction where it's like, oh, it's a Namra's podcast. Like, they're going to, your listeners are going to be like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like time for a new one.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. And how do you, when you are like creating your video content for clients, how do you pick like background music, stuff like that? Like what goes into that process? Just like this sounds dope or?
Obviously the vibe of it. I am notorious and the team hates me because I'll go on our website to get the music and I'll download 15 tracks. I'll edit something, be working on it, delete the whole thing, start over. I must start projects over maybe 4 or 5 times.
Really?
Yeah. Like I'll just be going like, nah, I don't feel it. And then start the music again. And then out of these 15 tracks, maybe I use 3 or 4 in the whole video. Maybe I use 1. Yeah. But it's like, they're so mad because it shows downloaded, so they think it's already used. So whenever I'm done with the project, I gotta be like, Lex, just so you know, I didn't use this song. But I never go with my first choice. 100% never go with my first choice. But it gives me something to edit to start to lay out the storyboard. And after that, you start plugging in different music and, soloing that track and just seeing, all right, is this going to work?
Yeah.
We're just going with the vibe of the video.
How do you know when it's right?
I show it to the team and they tell me it sounds good. Because even like, I don't know, obviously you have that moment where it like clicks, you're like, oh, I think this sounds great. But nothing beats an outside perspective or someone who hasn't seen it at all. Just give you that feedback, and you can't take it personally. You can't like.
It sounds like you're like kind of a you're hypercritical on your own creativity. So it's like
100%.
Sometimes you need to see like bounce it off someone else.
Yeah.
Is that right?
100%. Like I've been working on this wedding video for about a week or 2.5 weeks, and like I showed it to them yesterday before because I wanted to get final notes on it.
Yeah.
And but I wait till it's almost all done before I show it to them.
Yeah.
And just to hear the feedback, it's great because it's like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, I can get rid of this. There was one part that like completely went over my head where I'll tell you off the podcast what the person said, but I was like, oh, I thought that was funny, and they're like, no, that's not funny at all. But like in my head, I was there and I filmed it and I heard him say it, so I was like, oh,
you have a different perspective.
Yeah, but like to someone who wasn't there, they're like,
well,
what the hell did he just say?
What did he say? Say it. Come on.
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
Well,
So he said that, and in his vows, he said that.
Don't say it.
No. He just said. He said maybe. He said it as a joke. All right, I'm prefacing it as a joke. He said maybe if I get you pregnant, that'll make you stay. But
out of context.
Wait, he wrote that in his vows.
In his vows. Yeah. But they already have a kid together, so it was like a joke about. It was a joke about the kid.
Yeah.
But to the people who weren't there, like, and I showed the kid when he said that. So like the kid came on screen as he was like, if I get you pregnant. And so
right.
I showed it to 2 different people just to see their reaction to it. And both of them were girls and they both were like, ooh. So the second I heard the second one, I was like, delete. That soundbite's gone.
Yep. Yeah. That's why you need the outside perspective, because a lot of times you're too deep into it and you need, like, again, like when it comes to marketing and stuff, if I show something to the business owner who's so deep into this, he's like, that makes total sense. But then if you show it to like a test audience, it's like, I don't even know what the fucking message is, so that's important to get that outside perspective on creative.
Yeah. I think that is what makes these creative, it makes the Terry Tates, it makes the other example I had was the Kenny Powers motherfucking CEO for K-Swiss. Like that was such a brilliant marketing piece that if you went, I'm sure that was an outside consulting company that came into K-Swiss and said that, because they would never in a million years go for that marketing campaign. I know it's a little long, but if you get a chance to watch the whole thing,
we can put the whole thing in there.
It's marketing gold.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's so fucking funny. Kenny Powers, that's great. What else you got? Anything else you want to talk about? Any other examples of marketing or anything like that, or were those the 2 big ones for you on those commercials? Two gems. Yeah,
both my commercials are just hilarious, like out of control. Which, I mean, to be honest with you, that's what I feel like catches people's attention is that, like, oh shit, K-Swiss is swearing, and he's like, I'm the motherfucking CEO. Like that, people are going to be attracted to that.
Yeah.
Not everyone, for sure, definitely not everybody. But like then the last example I had written down was like the Twix, like the "You're Not Being Yourself."
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's like very G-rated, but I still think that's humor. I think humor sells the most out of everything,
and it's so
in
hard
the advertising world.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah, because you can miss and be done for.
I think it's because
the Betty White one's the best. I don't know if you have that one.
I think it's Snickers actually.
Is it?
Are you sure?
Oh
no, you're not the same when you're hungry.
Yeah,
is that Snickers?
I think it's Snickers.
Which is the one with Betty White? I thought it was.
Let me see.
Oh, it was Snickers. You're right.
Yeah, this is
froze her down. Jesus Christ.
Betty White getting tackled going over the middle.
R.I.P.
What's your deal, man? Come on, man. You've been riding me all day. You're playing like Betty White out there. That's not what your girlfriend said.
Use Snickers. Better?
That is a great.
Yeah,
very memorable.
That's great.
I think I have kind of like like an idea of why I think this is the case, but why do you think it's so hard for companies to do funny well? Like the only time you ever really see funny commercials is like Liberty Mutual has some decent ones.
Oh man,
you'll get a few on the Super Bowl. But all right, I want to hear yours next. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's a lot of stuff has been done, and it's hard to think of an original idea.
Yeah,
I think that's the main thing.
I think that's a big one too.
Yeah.
I was going to say too many cooks in the kitchen. It's too corporate, baby.
I was going to say the same.
It's too stiff, and then people you have forms you have to pass, and teams that have to approve it, and just like, nah, man.
Yeah, I think one person is like good at making comedy. It's like have one person's idea, and then if he thinks it's funny, a bunch of other people are going to think it's funny, and unfortunately, a bunch of other people are not. But if you have like 5 people all try to give creative input, or 10, 15 different people, it's just going to get watered down.
And if those 5 people are not, they're like half funny. Like they're not even that funny. Like, why do you think comedians nowadays are like ripping on Comedy Central and these like, VH1 or MTV, because it's all corporate.
Yeah.
And it's just not for the people.
Yeah. But I like I like what you said, where it's like, it's nothing. It's really hard to come up with an original
content. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of our stuff is parodies. Like we take something that we saw and just try to put our own spin on it.
Yeah.
It's hard to come up with something.
That's
original.
just art, though, man. Like I don't think anybody can really come up with anything original.
No.
You think about it, it's been done at least to some variety.
Yeah, I even follow this guy on Instagram. It's kind of a little off topic, but it's like he's a DJ, and he'll just post every day like a song, like a famous rap song by Jay-Z or something like that, and then show what was sampled from like the 40s or something. I love that.
I think I know that.
Yeah. I've seen that too.
And it's insane to hear like, wow, like that came, like he didn't think of that, like nobody made that beat. Like, well, someone made the beat, but they sampled it from something,
Yeah, the inspiration came from elsewhere.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize like how many samples are used in rap music. Like
it's all
today's rap, everything's ripping off something else. And I think that's important to know, like when you're trying to create something on like social media or digital marketing or a video content idea, it's like you don't have to be super like the OG, the original. Like that's what like the real hits are, very original. Obviously the stuff that you remember is, but you can do a damn good job just by like taking something that's good and then just make one little twist or one spin off of it and to make it your own. You know? It's like TikTok and IG Reels. It's all knocked off sound. Everyone's like sampling the same sound over and over.
It's a remix to this song. So what do you think about going back to the ads and stuff? Mm-hmm. People not taking chances anymore because of quote unquote cancel culture, or afraid to be canceled, or offending the wrong people. What do you think that plays? I mean, obviously in the huge corporations that plays a huge role, but I think companies are too scared to take the chance, like one of these commercials, because of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So you make a pros and con list first off,
right?
And it all depends. Like, how's business now? It's like, can you do well with one small niche that loves you and then have everyone else not really like you? Like that's a question you have to ask. If you're in like the commodity business or something, if you sell canned beans or canned corn, probably don't want to take any like creative liberties or really try to push the envelope. It probably makes sense to be safe, but that's kind of what I would think. It definitely affects people though. Like, just the creativity we're allowed to put out there. Like, I mean, you see it, I'm sure, like as far as working with some of these big companies where like you have to have like quotas as far as like actors and things like that. Do you see that in yours?
What do you mean by quotas?
Well, like you have to have a certain diversity breakdown of who are in commercials.
Yeah.
Like, I've had clients who ask us for that all the time, where it's like, hey, we want a certain representation in the video, and it's like, okay, it totally get
That's
like,
great.
Yeah. We when we cast, we definitely think about stuff like that. We definitely have to approach it in a certain way. Even we were doing a video about someone retiring, and we originally had it written as a guy. And the last, like a week before we shot, we had to cast the whole cast shot or picked out and everything. They're like, oh, the client was like, we want to switch it to a female. Yeah. Which is like, no problem, but we have a week to shoot and have to re-audition someone for the main role.
Yeah, that's tough.
It ended up working, but like you said, I'm sure they had a reason why they wanted to change it. Maybe someone on their board didn't like the way that the script sounded, or they thought there was too many males in it. You know, so yeah, we definitely see it now. I think now more than ever too.
Yeah, for sure. Like
people are very safe
with like stock photography that we use, or like stock photos. Like we want to have a proper like ethnicity breakdown, and like same thing with like male and female couples. You know, it's like if you're like, we're working with like it's a center for men, like they do like testosterone replacement and things like that, and it's like we want to make sure that we have like same-sex marriage out there, because that's a huge population of people that they can reach. So it's like we do want some of that stuff, and for good reason too, you know.
But that's why you guys are so good at doing like the industry studies, and like looking past. I mean, I guess that's another topic, is going past the brand and looking what are their customers, how do they want to be represented? And you guys have to kind of conform to that. And maybe that means cutting Terry Tate, or that means cutting like this very creative idea to make this bland, but that goes along with their brand. They're the one paying the bills, so you got to do what they say.
The creativity sometimes has to take a back seat to whatever that company wants to do, and that's, you know,
it's all about knowing your limits, knowing the limits. Like, you know, you don't want to overstep. You can always pitch it to the client, you know, depending on your relationship, you can see how far you can go with it, but at the end of the day, the client's going to ask for what they want. Sometimes you got to steer them in a different direction and show them why. And maybe they'll still say no, you know? So I think just how you adapt, but the climate now definitely plays a part.
It changes a lot.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's tough. We've talked about it in the past, holding your creative integrity and telling a client like when something is like in their favor, or when it's just them being like picky, or whatever you want to call it. And like, you said at the end of the day, like you have to, like you said, maybe take a back seat for whatever reason. And
pick your spot when you ask for like final cut, where it's like, no, I'm telling you, this is, don't change this, you know,
because that's why they hired you.
This is why you guys hired me. Don't change this. And then sometimes you have to give a little bit. So.
A big thing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, you got to hold your ground.
Yeah. I mean, I always live by the words like just don't worry about the stuff you can't control. You know, if you have a client that's hard set, hard head, they're going to do this, like you're just going to have to go and work with them. You can't control them. You know, but if you have a little wiggle room, or if you approach something in the right way, like you can grab some control over the final say in it. But if something's way out of your reach, you know, there's no point in losing a client because they weren't going with your idea.
And you can't take it personal.
It's their company. It's their message. It's what they want. Maybe they'll see it and be like, wow, maybe we should have went with their idea. But they paid the bills, they paid you, and you know, that's you got to do it.
You did a job well done at the end of the day. You did what you served your client, and you did what you needed, and you got your client the satisfactory results, right? So,
and we've done stuff too where we've written very creative scripts and then been like, or the client's been like, I don't think we can do that. Change a script around, and we don't even promote that we did the video because it's not, it doesn't align with, like if someone were to see it, it's not that it's bad. It's just that that's not what we want people thinking. That's how we market. Like we didn't have anything to do with the script writing. It's not our voice. Maybe it's not as entertaining as we could make it. So we don't want other clients seeing it. You know, that goes a little private on Vimeo. And
exactly.
I had it back that
Not
way.
everything can be in the show reel.
I love that you said that, though. I don't hear a lot of creatives talking about that side of it, keeping their brand image, even despite what their content is for their clients.
Yeah, because you need to make money at the end of the day. And sometimes the money makers aren't always the flashiest. So
it's true.
That's right. There's who's the actor from The Hangover? The Asian guy.
When he jumps out of the car naked.
He was a doctor, but he was doing like a podcast, and he was talking about like, well, you know, not every movie can be The Hangover, not every movie can be, you know, a Scorsese film. He's like, that's what I call a yacht movie. And they're like, what's a yacht movie? He's like, I did that movie so I could buy myself a yacht. It's like, damn, all right, straight up, like, can't always be an artist. You know? Sometimes you got to be a businessman. So I get that. But cool, man. I think you guys walk the line better than anyone. I think you guys are doing amazing work at Focus Forward. So if you guys haven't checked them out, can you plug some stuff, like where you can find the podcast, where they can reach out to you?
So I mean, I guess Focus Forward Media on Instagram is the main one. Focus Forward Media on Facebook. We do have a podcast, Up in Your Business,
which is like such a good name, Up in Your Biz Pod.
Your Business, yeah. It made it easy for an outro song too, the Taking Care of Business.
Oh yeah.
We're going strong on that. We've gotten a little busy, so we kind of fell off. But expect some guests coming up. We got some things planned out for that.
I'll wait for my text.
Yeah, we can have you back on.
Third time.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find us. And I'd be messing up bad if I didn't shout out, obviously, everybody at the company. Yeah. You all know who you are, but without them, we wouldn't be able to do half the stuff we do. They keep us running. And
yeah, you guys got a great team.
Yeah,
all good people.
I love going to work every day. Yeah. I think Mike and I have put together a really great team. Yeah. Not only work wise, but also kind of like jokes and just messing around with each other.
It's
fun.
It's like kind of a cheesy buzzword, but you guys do have a very good culture. When you walk into the office, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, it's like we were interviewing this this girl the other day, and I was talking to her, and I was trying to say that we have a culture over here, and it came across. I was like, like we try to have fun with our environment over here. And in my head, I was like, that sounded so fucking cheesy. That's what like everybody says when they're trying to say, oh, we're cool here.
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
No, but like we definitely try to do
the 40-year-old guy in the business.
We have beer.
We have so much fun. We have pizza
beer
parties
in the fridge.
Yeah, right.
It was very progressive. Yeah, exactly. No, you guys are yourself. You guys are yourself, and that's why I like working with you, man.
Hey, appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on, man. I'm very happy for all the growth and the success.
Yeah,
it's awesome to see you guys keep killing it. So thank you, man.
Hey, you guys too. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
thanks, guys. Till next time.
See ya.